僕はカイネさんと接するたびどこか懐かしかった。無意識のうちにお姉さんとダブらせていたのかもしれません。やります。
The sound of rain filled the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area made divine sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. Thin wisps of smoke streamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, had braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly toward the wooden hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of the town. The wanderer reached the vane, which had existed for as long as any could remember, as stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. Those traits combined with the pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. If the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then The child blinked. Rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and regained its long descent to the ground. Come on, the child felt a slight breeze and watched as the vane slowly creaked out to life, spinning this way and that. For a moment, it finally settled with the beak pointing firmly toward the east. East. Really? Before the vane could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of a stone began to fall around. Oh no, they found me! A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stones continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of a multiple footstep grew louder before a voice rang out. Yo-ho, Kaine. The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the area. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eyes and blurred her vision, but she could make out the shape of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to the sensation. It was one she had experienced many times before. While some villagers simply turn a blind eye to the action of their children, many encourage it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kenny was something to be hated and, if possible, destroyed. I didn't say you could leave, Freak. Demo's word chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He cannot hurt me, he cannot hurt me, he can't hurt. Oh look, the little freak is gonna cry. What's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? Kaine prayed for the rain to float down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they choose to ignore her. As Demo crept ever closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless, a veiler. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of an old meat on his breath. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upward. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one say no to me. Even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts. Come on, guys. Let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, kick and blow began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question and choosing instead to stare at the weather fan. It continued to point out east, as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home. Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with a dead parent, no home to go to. Freak, chanted the children. Freak, 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 freak. Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hand of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of the torment turned to the two terrified cries did she dare open single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying. He's actually crying. Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy shuffle away from Kaine. But the young girl was the least of their concern. Instead, their attention was wrapped the ancient woman standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. "Hush like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. And if any of you little bastard ever touch my kind again, I will do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it." The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. "Ow!" he screamed, leaping to his feet. "Stop it! What are you doing?" "Quiet whining, and no one ever died from a scratch. You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch, a big one that thing could kill me." The old woman shrugged. "That is the best cure for stupid." Demo's face twisted with rage at her word. Locking his eyes on Kane, he took a step backward and spat on the ground. "Get out, leave this village. No one wants you here, either of you." Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Demo and his companion turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. "Ah! Look at the fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight." The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kane. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulder, then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting at blood on her forehead. "Oh, Kane," she said, "why didn't you fight back? You are stronger than that lot." The words of her grandmother stung Kane, and she turned away. "Don't be nice to me," she said. "I don't deserve it. Nothing, nothing matters anymore." Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. "Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead." As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hand on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. "Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows upon the realm of this world and the next. It grants no mercy to any that attempt to crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath. Understand?" The old woman tightened her grasp and tried to still the tremor in her voice. "You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know because you survived it." As the word hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know her of her grandmother. But when her parent died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few years together had not been easy. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood kicking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depth of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand kindness, pain, and loneliness, it was her. Do I make you sick, Grandma? Of course not, don't be an ass. Kaine drew her grandmother's mouth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. But my body, it is not normal. If I was normal, then Mom and Dad would not. Interrupted Grandma. I will not hear another word of this nonsense. You are my granddaughter and I love you. And if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell. With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flower without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made it for me? Lunar tears were a legendary flower. Most people could live their entire life without ever seeing one, and yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Where did you find this? Just stumbled on them while I was out doing the shopping. The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flower used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hard. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. Didn't quite turn out right, said her grandmother as she squinted at it. This old hand have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you. Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty? Of course you are. What a fool thing to say. Thank you, Grandma. Her grandmother smiled. We're gonna be fine, you and me, she said. As long as we got each other, we will be just fine. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped their hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in a lazy circle, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough, even if it's us against the world. Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane and into the cloud sky. The last faint hint of a rainbow was slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. Kaine's dream daily life. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sound of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was far from a work of art, as could be pieces of every shape and size, or being flung about a barren yard with a wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such a wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of a shit axe. Keiichi's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinter of wood and words that would make the most hardened sailor blush. Grandma called Keiichi. "That you, Keiichi?" yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. "Don't get too close or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistakes." She broke the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Keiichi's close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hand around her mouth and shouted, "Grandma, do you need help? I can get you water or lunch or a new axe or something." The axe poised to strike another wobbly blow post in mid-air. The old woman considered her granddaughters over for a moment, then smiled. "Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can go get the water? Shades have been restless lately and I don't want you running into one of them bastards." Relinquish the axe. Her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the more difficult of the two jobs, but Keiichi knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Keiichi did her best to help with chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Keiichi knew the real reason. She didn't want her grandmother to be taunted and harassed by the stupid fucking idiot villagers that gonna be dead and massacred in the first round of the game, and I'm glad it happened. They deserve it. They deserve every single dead upon them. Wait a minute, let me put my earphone. Shit. Check okay. Once Kate moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the area. Out of sight, out of her mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter. And rare were the days when any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Keiichi enjoyed the solitude, but her harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Keiichi turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped a wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack on the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. Frustrated, Keiichi swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it, oh crap! She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with a blade, but the task was challenging, and a blister soon began to form her small pink hands. This is tough, and my logs are all weird sizes. Spitting on her palms and ignoring the pain, Keiichi redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down her buckets with a small sieve, she took one look at the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy girl, you better practice if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Keiichi dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. "Grandma!" The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket. Cannot let it spill." Keiichi steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress. But Keiichi didn't notice. Grandma, what's happening?" Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulder and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arm and batted at Keiichi's way. "Stop that, just stop," she cried, breathing heavily. I ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all." Keiichi desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman shaking hands and worn face taught her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Keiichi was ending. Sooner, either of them had feared the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Keiichi came to the side of grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. "Grandma, you are sick, and you need medicine. I'm going to the village." The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Keiichi gently pushed her down. "It's all right," she said. "I'll be fine." The grandmother fixed her gaze fixed her with a gaze that could melt a steel. After that seemed an entirety, she finally lowered her eyes and said, "Well, I don't like it, goddammit. But I guess I should quit being so stubborn and let you grow up." The old woman watched as Keiichi strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across a dark and rainy sky, she was still watching. Keiichi moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heel, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Keiichi finally found herself at the entrance to the village. The few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart's racing, Keiichi took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. "I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong." She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund, older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling anyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Keiichi's presence. "Hey lady," said Keiichi with a bravado she didn't feel. "Where is the apothecary?" Apothecary. The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. "How dare this thing speak to me?" they seemed to say, but Keiichi saw that her eyes had a different emotion. "Here, yeah, we are both scared, lady. Trust me on this one." "Which way?" Keiichi repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in the other direction. Keiichi cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary, but the new emotion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He'd clearly been sent her on some kind of a family errand because of his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. "Oh my god," he sputtered. What are you doing here, freak?" The insult was delivered without force, and Keiichi happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for the medication. "Ha," barked Demo. "That old bitch finally kneeled over." "Go to hell, Demo." The boy's eye grew so wide they seemed ready to fall out of his head, but before he could let fly, a comeback, or worse, a punch, the apothecary told them to knock it off before he kicked them out of the store. Demo slung out the shop, cursing Keiichi under his breath. Once she was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. As ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely, in a world so vast, there will be a place that she could call home. One, the four wall behind the wall counter rests a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained a bright, vibrant color, but time had worked its cruel magic and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. You like that picture? Kaine turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. "That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead a long time now." Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come out with the right words. "Pictures are wonderful things," continued the shopkeeper. "They let the ones closest to you live on forever." He shook his head slightly, then looked down at Kaine and smiled, handing her the medicine. He reached into his sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. "You should have these. There is no one left that I wish to draw." Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. "Yes, I have heard the rumors about you," he said. "It is a small village and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother, Kali, and I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable." "Grandma's name is Kali?" thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling this new fact over in her mind as she reached out and gently took the crayons from the apothecary's hands. "Your grandmother is an old friend of mine," he said, as Kaine scooted away yet again, and I owe her much. I wager she would like it if you drew a picture of her." "Yes, I think she would like that very much." Kaine murmured a quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but a complete contempt. It was tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless, and with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. That's a long wall of things. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places. leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. "Back already, are you?" asked her grandmother with a yawn. "Come here, let me have a look at you." Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe, finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild. She leaned back and allowed herself to relax. "Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble?" "It was kind of fun," said Kaine with a small smile. "No, seriously, it was." "Fun, eh?" asked her grandmother's voice, which implied she believed anything but. So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know." As he spoke, Kaine removed the granions from her pocket after a brief explanation on their source. She informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her a portrait. "A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crown." "But Grandma, it will make you live forever." "Horse shit," said her grandmother, throwing a bag. The shit from her bed, "living forever," would just piss me off now. "Put those crayons away and help with dinner." But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house, as if posing for a masterpiece. Kaine took up the crayon, her subject gracefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grasp and let it slow drift to the floor. Shit. Sakit. "It is terrible. It doesn't look like you at all." "I am sorry, Grandma. I thought the crayons would, make drawing easy or something." The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. "Let me be the judge of that," she said, ignoring the blade in her bag and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, then slowly wheezed out of laughter. "Oh, Kaine," she said with laughter, "you truly are my blood. You are as clumsy as me, and I love it. But shush, I won't hear any more bawl about how ugly you think it is. It came from the heart, and I will treasure it always." True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen's table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. week later, Kaine could stand it no more and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. "Bosh," said the old woman, "I will take this down when they roll me in my shroud." She pondered this for a bit, then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. "Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture make me happy in a way I have never felt before. And it makes me want to go on so that someday you can feel the same happiness." It was a moment that burned itself in Kaine's memory, a perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment, to never forget the old woman who had made her place in the world possible. Time moves on, people and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. Kaine's dreams, separation. Dang. Kaine listened to the sound of a crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wood disk for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. "Grandma, I cannot believe you want me to eat a bug." The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. "It is not a bug, you fool girl, it's a berry." "Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs?" "Yeah, well, it sure looks like a bug," said Kaine, "and I think it's burned or something because it smells terrible." With that, Kaine held her nose and threw the berry in her mouth, chewing as little as possible. "Oh yeah, that's terrible, right? Why, you little brat," laughed the old woman. "Look at the sass on you. You have been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact." 5 years had passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. As is often the way with two stubborn people, their relationship had ground in fits and starts. But move forward all the same, meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and huddled abuse in equal measure. Kaine could not remember a time when she had been happier. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do many of the chores she used to take for granted. And so this morning found Kaine lacing up her work boots with a breakfast of a burned berry rolling through her belly. "Where are you going today?" asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specific anymore. "Well, I was gonna check out the calmant trees and see if they were ripe. I thought we could make some jam or something. Going to pick up some flagstones, so I need to take the wheelbarrow." "Flagstones? What in the hell for?" Kaine stared at her grandmother and held out. An autumn swept it around their home, constructed mostly of cloth, rope, and rubble. The old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. "Grandma, a dying cat could chew through this house. I'm going to build a stone wall so we have some protection." The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. "Goddamn, girl, if a bunch of thieves want to ransack this old place, let them come. We got nothing worth stealing anyway. I'm not worried about thieves, I'm worried about shades." People saw one west of the village yesterday. The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. "Well, shoot, I don't know why you have to do it today. We can worry about it some other." "Grandma, no. If we don't go to the calmant trees, we won't tonight, you know that. A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost at carnival. Yes, she said after a bit. Yes, of course you're right. I'm sorry, kinda lately. It seems my mind is. She didn't finish the thought, instead walking over to her nightstand and gently taking the wreaths of Luna tears from the drawer. The flower petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. You're gonna be a true woman soon, Grandma said. She placed the flower in the girl's hair, so that means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls, and we'll talk about how beautiful you have become. Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but then look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. You are a beautiful thing, said the old woman, and there ain't another like you in all the world. I am very proud of you. Okay, Grandma, that's enough. Goddamn compliment for one day. Such a mouth on you. Where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. I'll teach you to sass me, girl, yelled Grandma. Suddenly, she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. Grandma yelled gaily in a quaking voice. Grandma, stop it. What the hell? The old woman stared at her, blinked, and slowly held her wrinkled hand out as if it was the first time she had ever seen them. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind just... Kaine thought the look on her grandmother's face was the most heartbreaking thing she had ever seen. Listen, she began. Maybe I should stay home after all. No, I won't have you stay here to keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your wall and whatnot. I'll be fine. And when you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you. Anjir 1 jam coy. Kaine rolled her eyes, then kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart, trying to desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around, don't turn around, she told herself, but in the end, the temptation was too great. She spun on her heel for one final look and saw a small bent woman standing in front of a ransackable hut with a sad expression on her face. Gods, she looks so old now, it's like the wind could reach down and just carry her away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, at dusk approached, she decided to call it a day, cursing herself for the lack of focus. Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her finger and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black cloud that hovered just ahead, tracing its path with finger. Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. No, oh gods, no! Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flame licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma! Grandma! Kaine ran there faster than she had ever moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground. She leapt to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hand and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It is too dark. It is too dark. Not just fire. Cannot be fire. Too much smoke. Gotta save her. Gotta save her. She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt. Her most suspicious confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with the thick inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on the three twisted feet and achieved a balance through means of a large armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws sprouted from its body in a random chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending a small whirlwind spinning around the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into a shimmering inky blackness as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. So then the smell hit her brain, overloaded with an excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kaine responded with a scream of her own. "You bastard!" "Alright, you bastard." She thought her scream echoed off the high cliff around them. "It's you or me, let's go!" The shade-eyed Kaine, with bemused interest, then began looking from her to the house and back again, as if urging her to look at the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced toward the house. Through the smoke and flames, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. "Grandma!" The sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. "She's alive!" thought Kaine. "Alive!" Kaine's legs sprang to life as she reached across the yard toward the flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth, let out a roar powerful enough to uproot trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air, before smashing her against the rocky earth. A star danced in front of her eyes. She tried to remember how her legs work. "Get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, now!" As Kaine struggled to her feet, the shade stomped toward the house and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of a claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, then collapsed to the ground, her energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet only to fall back to earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. "Grandma, hold on, just a little longer." Her grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the white were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with a maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up and corner. Short, panting breath bleached from somewhere deep inside its core. "Bastard," laughing at us. She had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion, but there could be no doubt the shade was taking joy in their suffering. "Yeah, I see your plan." The shade moved its claws slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. "I'm gonna kill this bastard." Summoning all her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted backward. but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble toward the monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. "Give her back!" she screamed. "Give her back to me!" It was like stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The shade painted laughter again, then raised its trail and sent it rushing through the air toward the young girl that was lashed to its feet. Kaine never had a chance to. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay to the ground with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small weak voice spoke up. "Kaine." Kaine's vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make her grandmother's hands reaching out to her through the smoke. "Grandma, Kaine, you gotta run. You cannot best this one." Kaine grabbed the hand and held on with all her strength. "Grandma, come on, we have to go." The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. "Grandma, no, no!" I said. "Run, goddammit, you have to leave. You have to get through." The thought would stay forever unfinished before she could say another word. The shade clawed through the sand, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from gates beneath cratered toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remains underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and red. Her grandmother was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel the hand which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the finger. But then, the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after the other, faster and faster until they became a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed then, thunderous sound that echoed off the cliffs and seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke. On the ground below, the earth shook with every step as it crept toward its prey. Kaine's body slowly rose as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles. Her head lowered dangerously to the side, yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just a moment before, took a slow, hesitant step backward, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a mad woman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered head of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing to the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly as if a great weight were resting on it. Most sound of a pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? Think it is. Think I'm bleeding to death. No, cannot die, cannot die. Grandma told me to leave. Deep inside Kaina's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it, 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 kill it now, as the spark that was Kaina slowly began to flicker and die. She held her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer.
Oi, 来るぞ。分かってる。かような姿で生き続けるはいかなるしか。おぞましいわ。
二度と会わなくて済むようここで殺してやる。剣が軽い。
剣ではない。お前の腕が上がったのだ。存分に暴れよ。
Kaina's Dream Encounter. Kayaknya nyeritain pas pertama kali ketemu sama si NieR. Gently, weakly, softly, the shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stormed off toward the horizon, stopping along the way to below one final row. Couldn't kill it. Shame beyond imagining. Kaine tried to turn her head to the side but only succeeded in one coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see and Only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is gonna make a clapping a real bitch. Ha! Cried a sudden voice from the depth of her mind. Finally gonna die, are you? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to a dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke only to be replaced by another, more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to throw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop. I don't want to live forever. I want to die like here. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in out of existence for a moment and produced a piece of paper. Sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the wig to kind and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Keiichi opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing it at it with sharpened pincers. Stop, no, don't hurt that picture. Keiichi reached out with her remaining arm and waved futility at the air. To her surprise, the insect fell off the picture and to the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relief, Keiichi turned her good eye back to the picture only to open her mouth in a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as it really was, smashed, unrecognizable lump of nothing. The apothecary smiled, then broke into a jolly dance. What the f? See that? He cried as he danced his cheek. It is perfect now. She looks just like you. Ha! Cha 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 cha. What the fuck? I look like that. Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair, Keiichi laid her head back into the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come. But just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. You got wish, sunshine. The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity had somehow found a way to take form. Keiichi wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but her lungs refused to work. You know, a wish, like a prayer or something. Why don't you go on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, save me, save me. Keiichi finally resorted to shouting at the voice with her mind. I don't make a wishes. They don't come true for me. I'm a curse, a freak. I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Bah! Oh God, you are the best. Keiichi glanced down and saw a black shiny substance oozing from her legs. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. The substance slowly crept around her feet and then began moving up toward the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind losing itself? She could feel slime oozing upwards, feel the hot, searing pain it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was still alive, and this was real. Come on, said the voice. Let it go. Kaine tried to ignore the voice, concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, sunshine. You're ready to give up, you're ready to die, so why not let me have it? Have what? Your body? Come on, give it to me, give it to me. I wanna stand out on the ground. I feel the rain, taste the wind. The voice paused, as if licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unbounded joy. And I wanna take your hands and use them to choke the goddamn life out of people. I wanna tear out their throats and bathe in the blood just like before. In response, Kaine shifted her head and vomited the warmth of its grip down her front and mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. Are you a shade? Kahahaha, maybe? What of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed into the shock of her missing eye. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight, but all she could manage was a small, whispered moan. Feels good, don't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. Yeah. What can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Now give me that body. Come on, give me that body, and I'll give you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. A black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side, and she watched it grow longer and thicker, eventually taking the form of her missing arm. I can see better, see it. Maybe my eye must be growing back too. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she had regained her voice. Stop. The black ooze hesitated as if considering this request, then quickly simmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Oh, what the hell, sunshine? Screamed the voice. We had a deal. I thought you want to die. Grandma said, I cannot die yet. A brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken flesh before her eyes. She saw the shade that had killed her and heard its mocking laughter, then closed her eye and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned bright and red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Kaine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern. The pattern of the sheet burned itself into her left arm. Well, I'll be damned, said the voice cheerfully. Look at that, sunshine. I think you and me are gonna be a good friends now. Kaine stared intently at her arm. The more emotional she felt, the more the latter seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. The arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop. Gotta stop. Holding her left arm in her right, Kaine took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Come on, don't fight it, pleaded the voice. Hate is my favorite dish, and I'm hungry. Let it go. Feel the anger. Burn with the fire of revenge. Thirst for blood. Then go out there and shut up. Get the hell out of my body. Your body? Oh, that's rich. Sunshine. Real rich. Look, why don't you just up and dance so I can have this body all to myself? What do you say? I bet those bodies of yours in the air, you would love to see you dead. Kaine grabbed a nearby shard of glass and tried to saw off the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, her darkened left arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Kaine screamed and dropped the shot as the sound of bone crunching on bone filled the air. Kahahaha, stupid idiot girl, you are possessed now, sunshine. And then I know going back. The voice left again, a loud long wail that seemed to go on without end. Possess? Whispered Keiichi. Yeah, possess. You and me, we got what you might call a time-share arrangement. Remembers how folks used to think you were a freak? Well, wait, they get a lot of you now. Wait till they get a lot of. Keiichi looked up, tears in her eyes. The sky seemed smaller somehow, darker. Is this because of that shade? Is this how they see the world? So, listen to the voice. I know this whole possession thing seems a bit sudden, but it ain't all bad. There is plenty in it for you too. I am a very powerful creature, sunshine, and now that power belongs to you. You got enemies, people you wanna kill, I can make it happen. That little fat kid who kept picking on you, that big old shade that squashed your granny, we will wrap them up in their own asshole. No more abuse for you, sunshine. No more pain. Wait, said Keiichi. You are a shade. Why you help me kill another shade? Why you think I'm more some kind of racist? Some killing snow? I don't give a good goddamn who you murder, honey pants. I just wanna drink from the well. Keiichi considered this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away with the wind, and she enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze felt on her new left arm. After a long pause, the voice picked up again. So, how's about it, you and me? We could have some good times together. Look, I will even take care of the bloody part if you don't want. Fuck off, asshole, muttered King. I will handle the killing. Ha, screamed the voice. Look at you go. Sunshine, we're gonna have so much fun together. So listen, my name is a tyrant. And if you ever need me, I'll just be hanging out in this piece of meat you call a heart. Now, get to it. The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour. And I like rotten and sour. Keiichi found herself nodding at the voice. Yes, she said. Yeah, I think this can work. I'm gonna find that shade and I'm gonna strangle it with its own guts. And when I'm done, I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyrant. Count on it. Ah, laughed Tyrant. I've shit bigger than you, so good luck with that. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me are sharing this body. But if you ever run out of hate, if you ever, go soft, and I'm gonna take over everything. So keep on killing, sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, fading to somewhere deep inside Keiichi herself. Keiichi waited until she was sure the voice was gone, then waved her new left arm around a few times. It feels perfectly normal, she thought. It feels like mine. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the new limb, determined to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean the creature inside her had already won. I'm not a shade. I'm Keiichi. Repeating this mantra in her mind, she slowly began digging through the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore of a certain red stain spot in the corner. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she found what she was looking for. It was the wreath of a lunar tree. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland petals were as bright as ever. Keiichi started to place it in her hair, then slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry, but I don't deserve to wear this anymore. I'm possessed, corrupted, a freak. And this time I don't think there is any going back. Holding the flower to her heart, Keiichi fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened to dawn and the people of the area rose to their daily lives, she remained in that position as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that now infected her world.
生きて生きて生きて。
おばあちゃん。
カイネさん、生きて、戻ってきてください。
お前たち。エミール、私を呼んでくれていたのはお前だな。
僕のことわかるんですか？
エミールはエミールだ。私は間違いない。
カイネさん、ありがとう。
おかえり、カイネ。
ずいぶん立派になったな。どのくらい眠っていたんだ、私は。
5年だよ。
そうか、5年か。ヨナは
探してるが、魔王の足取り自体なかなかつかめぬ。
これ。
それは月の涙。
おばあちゃんのに負けないやつをって頑張って作ったんだけど。
そうか、ありがとう、ありがと
う。長く石化されていたカイネの目覚め、エミールの見せた優しさ、再び出会う喜びを俺たちは噛みしめていた。デボルさんたちからその話を聞くまでは。なぜなんだ、どうしてなんだ、デボルさん、ポポルさん。
分かってちょうだい。揉め事が起きて危害が及ぶのはあなたたち自身なのよ。
でも
僕らなら外で寝ますから。
待てよ、おかしいだろ。己の身を犠牲にして村を救ったカイネとエミールがなんで村から追い出されなきゃならない。
だって僕らこんなんだし、あなたにそう思ってもらえるだけでね、カイネさん。
う。私は外の方が慣れてる。
そんな。
じゃあ外で待ってますね。
すまないな。
どうした？
俺ちっとも気づかなかった。カイネがなぜ野宿していたかちっとも気づいてやれなかった。くそ。
今日はもう休め。
その夜は眠ることができなかった。 デボルさんを初めて憎く思った。ポポルさんを冷たい人だと疑った。だがそんな俺の感情には意味がない。彼女たちは村を第一に考えた結果、ああ言うしかなかっただけだ。村人たちを魔物の恐怖から守ろうとして言ったことだ。デボルさんとポポルさんの罪を責めるなんてできない。カイネたちの立場を知ろうともしなかった。俺も同罪なんだから。カイネとエミールに謝ろう。謝って。いや、謝ったって。
カイネさん、火が
この声は。
焚き火って不思議ですね。ずっと見ていられる気がします。カイネさんとまたお話ができて僕嬉しいです。
そうか、私もだ。
カイネさんを助けるために僕頑張ったんですよ。一生懸命磨いてみたりお湯をかけてみたり。
お湯をかけたのか。
はい、でも全然ダメで。
石化を解いてくれてありがとう、エミール。
ちょっとだけ姿が変わっちゃいましたけど。
辛い思いをさせてしまったな。
でもこの姿も悪いことばかりじゃありません。こうしてカイネさんを見ながらお話できるようになりましたし。そうだ、カイネさんのこと聞かせてくれませんか？
私の話はつまらないぞ。
カイネさんのこともっと知りたいんです。
分かった。私に魔物がつく前、子供の頃の話だ。私は少し変わった体をしているせいで村では厄介者として扱われていた。でもただ一人、おばあちゃんだけが私を受け入れてくれたんだ。どんなに辛いことがあってもおばあちゃんがいてくれるだけで私は生きようと思えた。
カイネさんにとって本当に大切な人なんですね。
あ
あ、そうだ、カイネさんの石化も治ったんですから。魔物つきのことや僕の体を治す方法も見つけましょう。みんなで探せばきっと簡単ですよ。僕たちならきっとできると思います。
お湯をかけるよりは難しいと思うがな。
もうそのことは忘れてください。
眠れたのか。
ああ、
目が赤いな。あまり思い詰めるな。
ポポルさんたちのところに行く。
わかった。なんだそれ。
これは母さんの日記だよ。
母親の。
ああ、国門病にかかって俺が小さい頃に死んでしまったんだ。
すまん、悪いことを聞いてしまったな。
いや、いいんだ。もう顔もおぼろげにしか思い出せないしな。これは唯一残った母さんの形見なんだよ。これを読むと頭の隅にある家族の記憶がかすかに蘇るんだ。
そうか。
だけど最後の数日間の日記には奇妙なメッセージが数行書かれているんだ。
奇妙なメッセージ。
ああ、それは
おい、聞こえておらんのか。おい、何をほうけているのだ、お主。
すまん。何か夢を見ていたような。
立ったまま寝るとは器用なやつだな。行くぞ、あの扉だ。
ああ、行くか。
What the hell? Tiba-tiba jadi bulky anjir. Dari emas-emas jadi abang-abang. Anjir, tiba-tiba masuk. Nggak bisa nge-save dulu kan? Leave the area. I have to play Replicant like 4 times over, anjir. Yeah. Harus main berulang-ulang. Sekolah lamaan. Proceed Beyond. This is the word of Saito called vessel created to avoid the destruction of all. disuruh ke atas apa ke bawah sih ini? Tunggu tadi. My cough. This one put today, but no. Soldiers of South claim Fort White that they are Legion. Let's change the dark lands to be something more dark world. for broke death to the world, delivering into its power of magic. NieR is super strong and eerie, blah blah blah. The black sickness stains the kids with Yonah within the soulless place. Kabuki outfit, anjir. Data save. Duh, malas banget suruh milih. Ini bisa save aja nggak sih? Lanjut besok, anjir. Lagi UFC ini cowok, astaga. Enable di RM. Malah mana oh. Miller lawan Hopper. FC anjir, nggak ditayangin dong. Early prelim.
どうした？
何か言う。
ああ、わかる。
Oh alah, itu. Tujuannya tuh ke sini. Belum bisa. Kita save di mana?